Darren Dregger of TSN has revealed on insider trading that there's a brand new target among the NHL trade market, and going further into this, the Hockey News has revealed that the Bruins should be top targets in their acquisition. We're going to be talking about that, as well as a brutal injury update from Joe Sacco about Hampus Lindholm. That's not going to be in favor of a lot of Boston Bruins fans, but we got a lot to talk about in this video. Now, before we get into it, though, we know 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join me here on the channel. We are covering everything Boston Bruins in this very busy upcoming Christmas time. The Bruins are going to have a lot of big games before the New Year's that they are going to want to win. And with that, we may see a trade come. And kind of going into this as well, as I mentioned, there's a very interesting trade report from the Hockey News coming originally from Darren Dregger that we're going to be discussing here in this video. Now, as I always say, the Hockey News, I always take them with a bit of a grain of salt, a pretty big grain of salt, because they're not any official reporters, and this is just a thing that they think should happen. And I don't really agree with this as of right now. And I'm going to go into this right here. On a recent episode of TSN's Insider Trading, NHL insider Darren Dregger reported that Kakko's name has been resurfacing in the trade market, and he's another Rangers forward who could be dealt. With the Bruins needing more offense, he could be an interesting player for the original six club to take a chance on. Now, this is really all they say in this article, and obviously there's no kind of layout of a trade or anything. They just kind of put their name out there, which is something pretty easy to do, not gonna lie. But looking at this, I do think that this is one that the Bruins are probably going to consider. And although I don't think this is the greatest option available right now, Kakko is undeniably getting better and better as his kind of career goes on. He's definitely not playing like a second overall pick should, and what his kind of stats are really not kind of laddered into that second overall pick. But as the Rangers have lost, I believe, 6 of their last 7, they could be looking to make a move. We saw the Bruins in this situation earlier this season, and the way that we're looking at this now, the New York Rangers are probably going to feel pressured to make a move. And we've seen Chris Kreider, we've seen Jacob Trouba be on that list. Trouba is one I can see being traded, but Chris Kreider, I do not. So maybe they end up going to replace Kappo Kakko with Chris Kreider. And if that situation arises, the Boston Bruins, I still think will be in on Kappo Kakko. However, I don't know if Kappo Kakko is the resolution to our issues. No, only at 23 years old, going on 24 and not too long. 24 games, he has 13 points, which is not a horrible kind of, ratio, especially for only 13 minutes time on ice in those games. And as I mentioned, you don't want your former second overall pick really going in to have 13 minutes time on ice over this span. You want to see one of these guys kind of evolve more than what he has, and he still kind of is on that slow slope. But there's no undeniable, as I mentioned, that his offensive talent is there, and it's being able to be seen. Has it happened yet? Not just yet. We haven't really seen that boom of his offense at the moment. Now, is that because of the Rangers coaching staff? Is that because of the Rangers play style? I don't think so. I really just think that Kappo Kakko hasn't kind of gotten to that potential yet, and really does seem like he needs a new location. And as I put up his stats there in this season, they're not horrible, but as we look over his career, and I will put this up on the bigger screen here, he's been pretty consistently decent over his career. Only one season above 23 points. That was 40 and 22 and 23. There is a possibility that he could be traded for, not too much, a pretty low value trade perhaps, but I do think the Rangers value him more than what the Bruins would be willing to give up. And in that situation, kind of trending into it, I don't think that the Bruins should really go out of their way to make a trade for Kappo Kakko. Now, if they can get him for a 7th round pick or, maybe a 3rd or 4th, I don't hate it. Obviously, those are kind of trades that would fit the middle 6 for a player that you're going to put into those scenarios in maybe, the second line, third line, right wing. We do have that slot kind of still open. We've been seeing a bit of success there, but we still would like to see more offense. And the way Kakko's kind of structured as a player, he would fit in those there, and also would help fit this power play right here. And really either side, or really wherever you want to put him on the power play, I can definitely see him making an impact. Whether you want to put him over Morgan Geekie, whether you want to put him over maybe Trent Frederic, those are possible. Charlie Coyle's been heating up lately, but Kappo Kakko could be an option, but I really don't think, as I mentioned, the Yankees, my goodness, the Boston Bruins should go out of their way to get to go and get Kappo Kakko. And just solely another reason, because he hasn't been that good, as I mentioned. He's still heating up, but there really has to be a certain scenario the Bruins go out and get him with. They need to have that certain layout, certain structure, and a certain price point that could be the maximum that they would have to pay to go out. So I do think this all around, once again, depends on what the Rangers are doing. Of course, as I mentioned, grain of salt, it is the Hockey News. Since Darren Dregger has come out and reported, though, I do have a bit of, positivity behind this. Something like this could happen, but whether or not it does or the Bruins should, I'm not too positive on. So let me know what you think about Kappo Kakko here in the comments of this video. It's a very interesting player, and as I mentioned, he could be a fit for this offense, especially on the power play and in the middle six, but whether or not he will be something the Bruins need to go after, need to put him on in the middle six. We've been playing okay lately. We want more offense, and Kappo Kakko could bring that, but it could come at a more expensive price than a lot of people would probably want to see Kappo Kakko at. But we move on to another one of a pretty brutal injury update once again. We know that Hampus Lindholm has been on the IR for quite some time now. Few weeks, and we were hearing him week to week. Hopefully we thought he would have been back at this point, but that is not the case from Joe Sacco, as this is what he had to say about an injury update from Hampus Lindholm. Hampus Lindholm is still weeks away, and although the defense on this team has been playing okay since the Joe Sacco era has begun, we still want to see some more out of this, especially when the team isn't scoring too much. We want to see the defense step up and kind of allow, as little goals as possible, knowing that the offense might not be there every game. Now, the past few, there's been a few hits and a few misses on the goal-scoring aspect. The offense has been there just about every single game, which is a big positive piece to bring out of this. And looking at what we have on the defensive side of things right now, they've been holding it down. But Jordan Oesterle is not one player that you want to see on the first line. He's not a guy that you really want to see anywhere above the third line defensive pairing. And of course that this has kind of been moved around a bit. We've kind of seen this right side happen. We've seen Zadorov, Lowry, and Oesterle kind of switch it up around that left side. And we also have Parker Wotherspoon, another key piece that could be popping into a game here or there. But although in Oesterle's time with the Bruins, he's been playing okay. He's been playing fairly well, actually. And although that's Hampus Lindholm's spot, we want to see him back as soon as possible, and obviously. And now the update that we have week to week, it seems like Jordan Oesterle will likely be staying up here for a little bit longer at least. And the way he's kind of playing up, the way that we've seen Joe Sacco kind of word this, it does seem like he will be probably back in the new year and at the earliest. And hopefully I get proven wrong with that. But the fact that he didn't really seem optimistic, didn't say any specifics about before or after, makes me feel like it's going to be confidently after the new year. And if the Bruins continue to play well, continue to put up goals, that is going to be perfect. We saw how good Hampus Lindholm was before his injury. It was a big loss at the time, especially the way the Bruins were kind of trending with just being really, really bad. That's one thing that we're kind of moved away from, and luckily we've moved away from that. So Hampus Lindholm's absence hasn't been as noticed, but it still has certainly been a big gap on the defensive side of things. But still, another brutal injury update that we're still going to have to watch until hopefully earlier than the Christmas break and earlier before the New Year's, and that way the Bruins can get a big boost going in after the Christmas break. What they're going to need to, and hopefully get back to the Bruins that we're so close to seeing once again. But like I said, a very brutal injury update and a very interesting trade report from the Hockey News. So let me know what you think. Still undecided. We'll have to discuss this in a later video, of course, but let me know in the comments below right now what you think about that trade. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. We're on the road to 6K, and you guys have been crushing it lately. I do appreciate all of the support, but that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.